Hello, Dr. Lapora here to talk to you about the CEO Excellence book. It's basically, they look at six mindsets and basically what distinguishes top leaders from the rest. It's written by a few McKinsey senior partners. I think it's three of them. And I personally think they do a really great job of taking really monumental, heavy gravity topics, leadership topics specifically, and turning them into practical usage. One thing I know, whether you're CEO or any other type of leader, CHRO, you're drowning, literally drowning in leadership content of what to read versus not, what to listen to versus not. But yet, a lot of them are still starving for real operating systems of how they can do their job better, take their organization, their teams to the next level. Every person has an opinion, but all of those opinions don't always reap differences. And I think this book is one, if you sit down and you're serious about using it, it can not just be about inspiring you or showing you how to be nice to your team, but about you really making enterprise shifts, which is what it's really about as a leader in this environment and this season. The changes you are making today are going to be changes that are going to impact your organization a decade from now, even, because that's just the time we're in with regard to AI, policy changes. These are changes that are not small incremental changes, but they are more earthquake changes, if you will. So it's not about romanticizing the CEO role that we often do, but it's about looking at the weight that sits in that chair. So as we hear, too much is giving, much is required. And so it's really important to understand when a CEO sits in that chair, there is huge, huge accountability for an entire enterprise. And so for some people, that's five people. For others, that's 300,000, right? But either way, CEOs have responsibility far beyond themselves, far beyond even the teams that they have, but to the worlds that they impact. So the best CEOs are not just thinking about their function, about their P&L or their pet project, but they're thinking about the organization, even beyond the organization as a whole, right? So when they look at what initiatives they're going to kill or bring life to or money to, so to speak, they're looking at what does the enterprise need, not just what they want to do. So it means choosing what's right for the company or what's comfortable for their egos. It means refusing to let the executive team operate as a collection of fiefdoms. We've all seen it. So if you're a CHRO, this is where the game is really won or lost. You can literally sit, at a team and ask, are we going to make this enterprise first decision? What's best for the people? What's best for the organization? Or are we going to protect our silos? So the first mindset is an enterprise first mindset. The second mindset is being bold, but having disciplined strategy. Bold, but disciplined strategy. The best CEOs are not just visionaries with great ideas and wonder, but they are selective and they are relentless about what they are selective about. So they make few big bets and instead they go focus on the long game. It's like, it's not about all of these different wish list priorities, but it's about the few important bets that are going to make a difference in the long game. And that's where the clarity comes from, is being able to discern the difference. What's going to add a few things now, what's going to be to benefit the organization in the long term. And that's where the good CEOs stand out. So for people in culture, for example, this is where alignment is either becoming real or it's staying as a PowerPoint slide when it comes to how the talent is treated, how the organization is designed, what compensation is going to be used, and with what level that makes sense from a policy equitable perspective, what culture is going to be exercised versus just being performative. This is what it's really about. And so the third mindset is about building a true high performance top team. So yes, we need to put the enterprise first and we need to make decisions that are about the long game. We also have to have a solid rock star team in order to make things happen. So that means sometimes being ruthless about who's sitting at that table, refusing to carry sentimental executive antiques or people who are not going to contribute to where you're going as an organization. Now, everyone needs development, but we need to really focus on who's going to be dedicated to winning. And if they're not dedicated to winning, they're dedicated to learning how to win, right? So instead of indulging in passive aggressive politics, we want people who are future focused, who are objective, and who are about the business and not about petty personalities. So this is the arena where CHROs also either become strategic weapons or glorified compliance officers, you know? So you have to ask yourself, do I have permission to shape this team, or am I just a guest in these meetings? If you're at a C-suite table and you're not contributing in the shaping, then that means something is wrong with that relationship, with how you're showing up. Something needs to be adjusted. So that fourth mindset is deep engagement with stakeholders. Excellent CEOs do not hide in their calendars. Of course, they could stay constantly busy and avoid certain stakeholder groups all day, all week, all month if they want to, because their schedules can easily fill up. But they deliberately face and challenge those relationships that are difficult because they are important, whether it's the board members or the regulators or the customers even. So it's not just about being performative. It's not about a performance, but it's about actually creating real alignment, not about PR, but real alignment and trust before crisis hits, before there's a difference in opinions. The relationship is there with these various stakeholders that often have diverse needs and concerns and challenges and perspectives. A CEO can make a huge difference just by managing those relationships in a healthy, proactive way. Employees can as well. And a lot of leaders are over managing messages, but yet they're under investing in action. So the fifth mindset is a very important one as well. And this is the personal operating system. So top CEOs, they're not just busy. They're not just allowing an executive assistant to fill their calendar. They're very intentional about their energy, how they use it, their time, and they focus. And they have guardrails on their calendars about what they will and will not do, how they will spend their time and how they won't, how they will spend their energy and how they won't. And they often, almost always, have rituals that keep them anchored in what's important. And these rituals aren't just about attending board meetings or getting early on a plane, but it's also about exercising, reflecting, having thinking time on how they can be more strategic in their work, but also how they can be more strategic outside of work, because it's all interconnected. It's all holistic. So the personal life is going to have a direct influence on the professional life and vice versa. So they have non-negotiables when it comes to protecting their mental health, physical health, emotional capacity. Very important. So I'll say this plainly: if you lead at this level, you need some type of internal anchor, or you're definitely going to burn out, sell out, or hollow out. So you have to have an order. What is a priority for you, whether it is family or exercising, eating right, your faith time, your spiritual time with God. You have to have those priorities intact, or else you're going to lose something. Those priorities intact, or else you're going to lose something. So the best CEO treats their job and their team and their company as living things. So this goes into the sixth mindset, which is connected, and that is about constant renewal. The best CEOs know that burnout is a possibility, that everyone, every organization, every living thing has a limit. So they evolve or they get left behind, because they know it's very important to keep growing as a person in order to grow as a leader. So that they let go of what's made them successful in the last chapter. And then they focus on how they can step into this next chapter. What is it going to take? Like Marshall Goldsmith said, what got you here is not going to get you there per se. And so that's what the best CEOs know, that it's all about leaning into new skills. Always they're learning. They're always humble. They're always delegating. But while they're delegating, knowing and understanding what they're delegating, right? So this is where CHROs, for example, are going to bring in that really rigorous succession planning that's not just on a slide, but develop those individuals who can lead in the future. Show these real feedback loops, not just surveys, but real conversations between employees and leaders. Not just have basic 2-day off sites, with nice logos and treats and snacks, but focus on some strategic exercises and working sessions about how we're really going to pivot and change the game where it needs to be changed. So a good CEO, the best CEOs know that this is a craft, not a crown. This is about their responsibility, not about royal sitting on your highness, so to speak. So the behavior shows it, right? It's practical, and what they're going to do is say, is this something going to be practical, or is this something that's going to hang on the wall? And so real CEOs are about being practical. It's about a practical life, a life that is truly making a difference in people's lives. So back to as I began this, and that is to say that the CEO Excellence book, I think it's a great read. I think it's well worth it for any leader working to not just go to the next level, but to maintain what they have. Because even maintaining what you have as a leader, it's really about you're constantly growing, you're constantly reinventing yourself. And in an ideal world, you're able to do that in an iterative fashion. You're able to do that without making a caterpillar butterfly transformation overnight in an ideal world. But sometimes we do have to make those rapid changes. So I think it's a great read. As I said, I think the principles apply regardless of what leader you are in any organization. I think the principles apply well. I believe you can hit every metric in this book, let me say, and still lose your soul, so to speak. So that's the flip side. The book has a lot of things you should do, but if you don't apply them to your life, you can still miss the mark. If you don't apply them specifically to your mark, you can check what they say, but if it's not customized to you, you can lose your purpose and your value in it. So if you are a CEO, I would challenge you to read this book. I think it's worth a read or worth a listen to if you do Audible, like I do quite a bit, or whatever audio service that you listen to, audiobook service you listen to. And then look at it and see, like, what mindsets am I doing really well in, or what mindsets do I need to improve in? So that's going to be really important for you to identify, where can you specifically grow as a leader? Would I recommend the book? I would definitely recommend the book, so would love to hear thoughts from anyone who's read it, who's listened to it, or if you're considering it and you read in the future, come back and let me know what your thoughts are. I think it's a pretty sober mirror, a good way for leaders to look at themselves. My favorite leadership book of all times, is Seven Habits by Stephen Covey. So I find myself subconsciously every time I listen to a book, I'm thinking of Seven Habits. Like, does it match that? And I haven't found a book yet to match that. I don't know if I ever will, and in the leadership's spectrum of things. But I will say for 2026, it is an excellent, excellent read. So if any of this resonated with you, please do click the like button as well as share it with someone who you care about, and have a wonderful day.